Well, hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast, episode 63, Infernal Devices, part 3. And yes, we're back in Opal City. I am so glad to be back talking about Starman. It's been crazy. As y'all know, you see me passive aggressively going, I'm stressing work. That is all past because I've gotten my promotion. The job I was in an interim position is now a permanent position. So there is a ton of stress left off my back. I'm recording this on the last Friday in August. It will go up on the second day of September. Hello, September. But I'm about this weekend, me and my wife and her brothers and her mom are going to Colonial Williamsburg and Jamestown to celebrate my oldest brother-in-law's 50th birthday. He's a baby. He's a baby. But we're going to talk Starman and the Black Pirate and maybe a little bit more. So let's get started with Starman Volume 2, issue 31. I'm using two things, so bear with me. It was on sale May 7th, 1997, cover dated July 1997. Editor, the amazing G.O.A.T. Archie Goodwin. It has an amazing Tony Harris cover with Solomon Grundy and Jack fighting a big snake. But you say Solomon Grundy, isn't that the next story? Yeah, it is. And I'm looking forward to that one. But let's get, it is written by James Robinson, penciled by Tony Harris, inks by Wayne P. Von Grawbadger, letters Bill Oakley, colorist Gregory A. Wright, reprinted in Starman, Infernal Devices Tradeback, 2000, Starman Omnibus Volume 3 hardcover, 2009, Starman Compendium, Volume 1 is where I reread it in a few times because it's been over a month since we've done one of these. There is no synopsis in Mike's Amazing World for this, so we're going to go to the DC Fandom Wiki. A mad bomber, the Infernal Dr. Pip, is planting his wares all over Opal City. Recently, he has recruited the sinister Copperhead to put the bite on Starman. The two villains capture Jack and plan to blow up a local department store, leaving Jack in the basement. Once again, Black Pirate's ghost comes to the rescue by rallying up the O'Dare family as Jack stays to try to evacuate the building before it explodes. Meanwhile, Solomon Grundy is down in the sewers fighting off the police until Officer Mason O'Dare asks Grundy to stop, as he too is a friend of Jack Star. The two overhear the police call about the department store having a bomb and rush to the scene. The store explodes, and while in flames begins to collapse, trapping Jack and the others inside. The ceiling begins to fall on the party. However, Grundy suddenly appears and holds up the walls as everyone rushes out to safety. Grundy is strong, but he can't hold the weight of the building up for long, and he too collapses as the building tumbles on him. To be continued. All right, that is the synopsis of Infernal Devices, Part 3. Let's kind of look at this comic page by page. Well, I'm looking, you're listening, and if hopefully you've been reading along, I hope so, or you remember this comic by heart because us Starman fans have been known to reread this series over and over again. I want to say, and I've shared it on the socials today, is the splash page is a 5-pointed star with Jack in the center, a circle in the center. Above him is the Black Pirate. And they all have given character names in a way. Like Jack is the Knight. Above him, at the top point, is the Ghost, the Black Pirate, Jon Valor. The right hand facing point is the Snake, which is Copperhead. Next is the Monster, which is Grundy. Next is the Mage, which is Jack's father, Ted, the original Starman. And the last is the Firemaker, the Infernal Dr. Pip. It's a beautiful piece of Tony Harris. Tony Harris' art just gets better and better and better as the series goes along. And it has this great, and then it jumps right into the fight scene between Copperhead and Jack. It's 2 pages. It's beautifully colored. I like the solids, and the backgrounds are all in solids or blue, or they disappear when Jack uses his star because everything in the background becomes yellow. The only thing that are like completely colored are Jack and Copperhead as they fight, and Jack's getting his ass. He's getting a butt kicking in this, but there's some beautiful art. Then we cut to Ted and Clarence O'Dare. They're having a conversation about no one's seen Jack, and the officers are fighting Grundy because Jack was looking for Grundy and Pip throughout the story. So we get to see that, which is Grundy fighting the cops. He's whooping their butts. They can't. He's just tossed around like rag dogs. And then Mason gets in the way and he's hanging around Grundy's neck and goes, "Grundy, listen to me. I'm Mason O'Dare. I'm a friend of Jack Knight. He'd want you to stop, Grundy. He'd want you to stop fighting." And then the next moment of pause, of stillness. "Jack Star, you know him?" "Yeah, man, that's right." "Then if you say I stop, I'll do it." And then the subway gives out beneath them and they fall into something rotten, and the O'Dares and Ted are there looking down in the hole. And then we find out they're in a deeper, older sewer. And it just kind of flashbacks to, it was there in the past. The cities rebuilt and stuff like that. But it's a more beautiful, and I love Solomon Grundy in this book. I really do. I'm a bad Roy Thomas fan and a bad Justice Society fan that I've not read all of Infinity Inc. It was coming out while I was in college, and so money was tight. So I wish they would collect it all, or it's on the app. But this is kind of the play on the Grundy of this, that Grundy can be different personalities. And this is kind of what we're going to find out more in the upcoming story. We cut then to Pip's hideout. Jack's tied up. Copperhead is gloating. There's a bit of back and forth about payments and stuff. And then the pirate shows up, and Copperhead goes right through him and is knocked out. Pip tries to get away, gets away, and then he is captured by the ghost. The ghost hits Jack, and then they try to get everybody out. The ghost goes to O'Dare's office and says the night is a message on that Jack's in trouble. That's when Mason and Solomon Grundy hear it. And then there's this whole thing with reporters and people trying to get people out, and then the bomb explodes, and it's a great panel. It's 3 panels on a page. Everything's very orangey red. You see that some people are incinerated. Jack comes to in the rubble. There's a little kid. He was helping. There are other people. They're all trying to get out. And then you see Grundy. And it's a giant 1 page. And it reminds me of that Hulk cover. And I'm assuming that Tony Harris is doing this famous Jim Steranko Hulk cover, where he's holding up the floor above them as they get out. And you see Jack and them crawling out. And you see it as through what the TV cam news is there. And Jack begs Solomon Grundy to come out, and Solomon's crying. It's like Jack says, "We got the people out of there, Solly. You can drop it. Now before the ceiling falls, can't," and the Grundy responds, "can't move from under the weight too much. Tell Ted Starr, I'm sorry, bad Grundy killed Pemberton. Tell Ted Starr that good Grundy was good Grundy. Goodbye, Jack Starr." And he is weeping, and the nation is, as it happens, some are too busy tending to wounds and counting the dead to notice, some are too scared. Jack screams, "Oh, Solly." Well, not screams, he just has to be. And as the dust rises still from the fire maker, so the curtain falls. And then the final panel is, I'm going to call him Sentry. It's Alan Scott in his new identity. This is one of the things where they tried Green Lantern. It was always a silly idea. The Batman and the Floronic Man, who will be a big part of the next arc, where they find out about we've learned more about the different Grundys, and we get a guest artist. It's going to be fun. The guest artist next week is Mark Buckingham, and it is I guess it is. But it's beautiful stuff, and then we're gonna get some other stuff coming up. It's a lot of fun. This is a story I really, really love, because I like Solly. I like the good Grundy, so there's a lot going on. But overall, this issue is very good. It's beautifully drawn. It's the perfect ending to the story, and I found the story so much fun to reread. Just so much fun to reread, and it's worked. These characters, the O'Dares, mean something. There's something I don't. I'm not going to say modern or any, it's in any year, but these comics where they build a legacy and a family, and those are the books I love. I love the way John's bearing the Wally Flash, pretty much the post-crisis Flash, because it becomes about legacy. I like John's Justice Society because it was about legacy. I like a lot of John's, his Green Lantern, or anyone's Green Lantern that uses all the old characters. Some of the more recent Supermans, I've not read all the books, but when I have read, I read the Brainiac Attacks, or whatever the name of that little mini event was, and I enjoyed a great deal of it because I like the legacy part. I like the characters, and I'm not following the book that's Parasite's a friend. All these people are reformed villains and other heroes that are super, and they all have a common mission, and they all love one another. God, oh my God, Williamson's Green Lantern. Oh my God, it rewrapped it off. It brought back that entire Arrow family, and I'm reading Green Arrow again. And that's what this book is, and that's what one of these issues shows you is how interconnected they are. I mean, I didn't tear up when Sally dies, but this time I haven't. But I love this. I am a sentimental son of a bitch. I love those quiet moments, those goodbyes in a movie, and Sally saying goodbye just rocks my world. I've loved everything about this arc. They give Copperhead more. Copperhead's just a villain. Villains just show up and they have a shtick they do, and blah blah blah. And unless they're your arch enemy and they're plotting your downfall, it's just a fight and you're done. But we see he's a collector like Jack, that they have something in common that humanizes him, that he has, human interests, normal people things to do. Is great. Pip is just maniacal. And every bit of action. And I like that this was a 3-parter. I wanted to kind of touch base on that because a lot of comic stories are 4-parters. The miniseries were 12s or 4s or 6 sometimes. They always tend to be a 4. 4 issues tells a story. And I think sometimes in some more recent, I think in some comics, not more. I'm gonna stop saying more recent. In some stories, it takes 4. You could have told that story in an issue and still done character development. And I see sometimes miniseries are all about the grab or whatever's supposed to get you to read it, whether it be just you're just putting the character in something. So I find a lot of miniseries I think it's a 50-50 proposition, especially in the old days. But and me and Dave the last Opal City was me and Dave talking about Shade, and that's a masterpiece of how to do a miniseries. And I think DC did a lot of those, like World of Krypton, World of Smallville, and stuff like that, where it was about a place. It was about a place, and each one was a little bit different. And I think that's what worked for that one. But these little arcs inside comics, I think 3 issues is a good. They're all 22, so it's like 66 pages. You got Act 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-act play. Works fine. And this one does too. This would be this might be 2 hours of TV on a good action show. I'm going to use that because I watch way too much TV. But it's just stunning, and it's moving forward. I'm about 75% through the first compendium, which means I'm almost halfway done. There's a lot of stuff coming on. We're going to be doing something about Starboy coming up, and Opal City next week will be not a comic book. It's going to be something media. I will be watching the Douglas Fairbanks Sr. silent film, The Black Pirate, and talking a little about him, pirate movies, and that movie in particular. It won't be that long an episode. It's a very short movie, and it's black and white. But I thought I'd do that. I thought that would be a nice media one, and then everybody who loves Will, I'm coming back to Will. I wanted to rest after Roger left and we transitioned to the new team. It was a good place to pause. Life got in the way, as y'all know. My recording has been sporadic just because waiting on, going up for a big change at work was a little overwhelming. So I kind of just read more comics. I've been reading a lot more comics in the last 2 months than I've read in a while, more so even though I'm doing the podcast. And if you follow me on all the different social medias, I share with you what I'm reading. I don't give you in-depth reviews. I tell you if I like it. I tell you if it was meh. I don't ever say it was. I haven't read anything that said it was terrible. You've heard me talk about some of the early FF if you're listening to 4x4s. But I'm reading the Absolute Power, which I've enjoyed it. I've read the Brainiac attacks to it. I read the Suicide Squad 3-issue mini that went into it, which I liked. Eddie Barrow's art. It was beautiful. And I've liked the thing going into it, and the Green Arrow stuff going into it, and I've loved the first issue. The Batman was interesting. It was about it was a riff on an Astro City story. The story's already been told. A henchman finds out who Batman is and tries to sell it, and it's very much like an early Astro City comic. It was very nice. It was nice. It was drawn by Dennis Cohen. It was written by Zdarsky. It was nice. It wasn't amazing, but the backup part was a little more interesting. It was about the Batman part, but I loved the first issue of Absolute Power. Absolutely loved it. I'm gonna read the first Task Force 7 issue. I've thumbed through, scanned through it on the app. It looks good, but I'm looking forward. I'm digging the events, and I'm gonna do follow the Absolute Power event, and then I'm gonna cover it as a whole. So that's a tangent to go off on. But yeah, miniseries, short stories. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and small arcs are good. I think small arcs are good, especially in this book. So now let's go on to the other issue what we're going to cover, which is the Black Pirate's appearance in All American Comics 102, which will soon become All American Western. This is his last Golden Age appearance, and he will not appear until Justice League of America 159, and that is insane. Oh, his son is in it, Justin. He will, but it was in All American Comics 102, which was cover dated October 1948. It was released August 20th, 1948. Editor Julia Schwartz. The name of the story is The Man in the Mill. It's 6-pager. It's the Black Pirate of Earth 1. Penciler and writer, I'm assuming, is Arthur F. Peedy. And inker is Bernard Sachs. Black Pirate's the main character, Jon Valor. His next appearance is DC Comics 148, which had to probably whatever happened to the Black Pirate, which is cool. Villains, Edgar Colton, a gang of highwaymen. Other characters, some villagers. Ruthven Valor, Jon Valor's ancestor. You see him in a portrait. This story takes place in the 17th century, and the synopsis from Mike's Amazing World is Jon Valor and his son search for a group of highwaymen near Ashenden in 17th century England. The spot, a strange windmill which moves counter to the wind. When they enter the nearby inn to investigate, the villagers believe John is the ghost of Ruthven Valor, his ancestor, who supposedly haunts the mill. Further investigations that the highwaymen are using the mill as a hideout. The ghost stories keeps the villagers away. The Black Pirate and his son capture the gang and expose the innkeepers as part of the gang. He has a secret control behind the bar which controls the windmill. Once the real story is revealed, the villagers give up their superstitions and the Black Pirate departs. I had to find this online to read it. I posted some of the pages up on the social medias. It was another really good. If they were to collect all the Black Pirate, if they were to go through and scan somehow, and even if it was a photostat, God, I mean it, a good photostat of any existing issue of the 70 or 80 comics he appeared in, I would love to read this stuff. It reads like Sunday's Funny, Old 40 Sunday's Funny. The Peberty's and Sachs art is wonderful. He's no Sheldon Waldorf, but Sheldon Waldorf's no Peberty. Petty, P-E-D-D, and Sachs. It's wonderful. It's a nice it is a 6-page story. And when I saw that, when I was reading Mike's, I was like, wow, that's amazing. That this story, which is so densely packed and full of adventure and character, is only 6 pages. It's absolutely wonderful, folks. This is a character, and I wish I was a little more. I had more access to full Golden Age comics, because when they reprint them nowadays, they reprint just the character, like my Starman's archives. The JSA, the All-Star comic ones are the only ones, and the leading comics are the only ones that I had that are different, because they only had one. They had a super team in it, so they took up the whole book. So everything's in those, and that's amazing. And, maybe someday I will do, a podcast series on those as wholes instead of just covering the Ted stuff. But this title will now become a Western, and Johnny Peril is already in it, and he's actually on the cover with an amazing Alex Toth cover. But these pirate comics have been fun, and that there were pirate comics, I've always found it kind of silly. I never thought it was really that big a deal. But Alan Moore and Watchmen made a point to say, yeah, there were pirate comics, and to make them the big thing instead of Westerns in Watchmen, I thought was neat. Now I kind of understand this Black Pirate characters. I bet all of these comics are that good. I've read 3. The first one, then when he moved to a different title, and then this one, his final one, and I found them all quite entertaining and beautifully drawn. I kind of bust on, some Golden Age art is rough. They're rushed. They're doing a lot of pages fast. But this stuff is just, it's just top of the list. It's just stunning. I thought it was great looking. A lot of fun. All right, so that's it. I was a little out of practice on that. I think y'all could tell, but we're going to keep going. So coming up, hopefully, I don't know what's coming up. I got a couple Legions I want to get done. I do have a whole day Monday, Labor Day off. I want to spend some time with my wife, but I do want to get some stuff recorded. I'm going to try recording this, and it will drop on Tuesday the 2nd, and I will have record something after it, which you will have already listened to, I hope. So, all right, folks, in a week we will be back. I will be back with a short review of the Black Pirate film from the 1920s. It is on Tubi, if you want to go Google it. And then after that, we will be covering the first part of the next, where we get to learn more about Solomon Grundy. Yay! And then we'll be on Will Payton. And so there's some Legion stuff coming up. There's some other nice, interesting stuff that's coming up. And hopefully I will be able to keep on schedule, at least for Starman and the regular episodes, and then jump in and out with Legion. But there's other stuff I want to do, and there's some great stuff coming out. I better paused on all comic buying, except for all comic buying for another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, just to save some money, because also there's some Omnis I want coming out toward my birthday, and I want to get them. So for a recommendation, if you haven't read it, or you've collected it and haven't read it in years, I'm rereading 0 Hour, and I'm actually enjoying the hell out of it. I do 4 issues at a time. I post the pictures of the covers, and I give a little bit. Some of the stuff, like I'd read the Hawkman. I had no idea what was going on with Hawkman because I didn't read that series. The Valor I read those, but I forgot it was very different looking than I thought, because it's later in the run, and it was part of that final Legionnaires arc, which reboot, brings us to the reboot. Brings us to the reboot, which that's one of the best things that come out of this, and that Starman out of 0 Hour. But I'm really reading. I've got the Omni, and it's in reading order, and it's wonderful. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. All right, folks, that's enough of me gabbing. Hey, thanks for listening. Be smart, be kind, be smart, be safe, be kind to one another, and read some comics. Read some Starman.